Tonight, busy day for the president as he inaugurates the Lagos-Ibadan rail line. Nemasa's Deep Blue project and Lagos State security equipment insists his order to shoot persons wielding AK-47 rifles illegally remains. Search for solution to the nation's challenges continues. Prominent Nigerians, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo and former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar, meet in Abuja for dialogue. Northwest governors seek greater cooperation in tackling insecurity in the zone. Governor El-Rufai blames continued banditry on lack of synergy among the governors. Nigeria's fertilizer market gets major boost as Dangote Industry rolls out urea products in commercial quantity tomorrow. And 350,000 people face famine in war-torn Tigray region and other neighboring areas in Ethiopia. UN describes the situation as a catastrophe. Plus, business, sports, news from Abuja, and later, international news from our London studio. Lagos played host to the president today. The last time the president visited Lagos was on April the 24th, 2019, when he inaugurated the Oshodi Transport Interchange. It was a busy day today for the president, beginning with the rail commissioning, where he made a promise that his government would continue to prioritize the railway system as a transportation backbone that can transform industrial and economic activity in the country. For President Buhari, today's visit to Lagos opens a new vista in the country's transportation sector. Our correspondent Dari Dewu was there and now reports.
This edifice in Ebute Metta is a symbol of the ready state and functional Lagos-Ibadan rail project. The project is darling to the administration, and the president is definitely the man to carry out the official function. President Buhari arrives at the venue with the auditorium already packed. Nobel laureate Professor Wale Soyinka, the host minister Rotimi Amechi, Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, and many other dignitaries are also in attendance.
Excellency, Mr. President, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu speaks on behalf of Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun and Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo, whose states are direct beneficiaries of the $1.6 billion project.
Our three states have benefited greatly. Lagos continues to be home to the flagship station on this line, where we're seated, my predecessor, Mobolaji Johnson Station, which is here on this ground. Ogun State has the iconic railway wagon assembly plant in Kajola, and Oyo State is home to an inland dry port that will help decongest the Apapa port.
Rotimi Amechi to now deliver his address.
The project had its fair share of setbacks, and the minister, who's been on the front line to see the project through, says the president already has a track record of completing rail projects.
This occasion is the third time Mr. President is commissioning a standard gauge railway infrastructure project, completed and delivered under his watch. Even though Kaduna Abuja was started by the regime of President Goodluck Jonathan, we completed it and commissioned it. We completed the one Itabewari, and I am happy the responses we are getting from people who use the Itabewari rail line. And today, we are here in Lagos.
For the president, the project is another milestone in the administration's drive to revitalize the railway as a major means of mass transit across the country and beyond.
The Federal Ministry of Transportation and Ministry of Finance have been directed to vigorously act on engagement and reaching financial agreements with appropriate co-financiers to partner with the federal government for the development of the Ibadan-Kano Railway and the connection to the Tin Can Island port, as well as the west to east coastal rail line from Lagos to Calabar, linking Onitsha, Benin, Warri, Yenagoa, Port Harcourt, Aba, and Uyo.
It's time for the main business of the event. The president leads other dignitaries to perform the official launch. Today's ceremony marks the kickoff of the full commercial operation on the Lagos-Ibadan Railway Corridor, which would also see the Nigerian Railway Corporation scale up its operation to move millions of people and tons of goods. This project is also part of the 2,700 Lagos to Kano standard gauge line. Dari Ido, Channels Television News.
The next port of call was Apapa for the inauguration of the Integrated National Security and Waterways Protection Infrastructure, otherwise known as the Deep Blue Project. The Deep Blue Project is a federal government initiative by the Federal Ministry of Transportation and Defense and implemented by NIMASA in conjunction with the Armed Forces, the Nigerian Police, Department of State Services, and other security agencies. President Muhammadu Buhari says the project will help tackle piracy and other crimes from thriving on the national waterways.
President Muhammadu Buhari alighting from the train at the Apapa station with his entourage of ministers and governors of the southwest states.
Thank you very much, Eugenia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
His mission here is to launch the Deep Blue Project, a maritime security initiative of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. A former governor, top executives of oil companies, and critical partners in the maritime space are also present to witness the inauguration. Statistics show that Nigeria is tagged a high-risk country by the international shipping community, so cargo and ship coming into the country attracts higher insurance costs.
Yes, Mr. President, when we took over, we were number 3 in the world in maritime security. Now we are number 1. But from the record we are having, we've begun to make progress, which means we soon exist number 1. In fact, we move from number 1, we move from number 3 to now having what they call. So all goods coming to Nigeria are charged as if they are coming to a war zone, up to today.
Today the maritime industry expresses its gratitude for you signing the Separation of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences SPOMO Act 2019 into law, the first of its kind in the entire Gulf of Guinea, that is fast becoming a model for the other African maritime nations.
President Buhari believes this step is strategic in the protection of the nation's maritime domain.
The flag off of the Deep Blue Project marks an important milestone in this regard and in our collective efforts to tackle security challenges in the form of piracy and maritime crimes in Nigeria and the Gulf of Guinea.
The Integrated National Security and Waterways Protection Infrastructure Framework, also called the Deep Blue Project, has 3 asset bases of land, air and water, comprising 16 armored vehicles for coastal patrol, 2 special mission aircraft for surveillance, 3 special mission helicopters and 2 special mission vessels, among others, as well as 340 trained personnel.
Apart from inaugurating the project initiated by the federal government, another task performed by the president today is the official launch of some security tools purchased by the Lagos State government for the State Police Command. The project is a joint initiative between the Lagos State Project and the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. The assets given to the police by the state government include cars, armored trucks, bulletproof vests, helmets, among others. The president wants other state governors to emulate this to effectively tackle the security challenges in their states.
From the launch of the NIMASA security assets, President Muhammadu Buhari moves to the police headquarters in Lagos for the launch of another set of security equipment.
To security agencies,
it's all in line with the administration of Sanwo-Olu's plans to design and maintain adequate security apparatus for the state and the country by extension.
We're handing over the following brand new crime-fighting equipment to the Lagos Police Command and other security operatives. We're handing over 150 double-cabin vehicles, 30 saloon patrol vehicles, 1,000 bulletproof vests, 1,000 ballistic helmets, and we're also handing over other command furniture and other accessories that will be used in the office for our various security operatives.
For the Inspector General of the Police, the efforts of the state government deserve commendation, and he asks men of the police force in Lagos to utilize the tools and equipment and do away with all security threats in the state before any further escalation.
The donation, which covers important security and policing equipment, is coming at the right time and well, certainly when the police and other security agencies need help. The state government has continued to provide unique and innovative models for funding and supporting security operations in the state. It is our hope that other state governments will key into some of these initiatives.
The president challenges other state governors to follow the path of Lagos as he pledges to tackle the security challenges facing the country.
There is no doubt that this equipment being handed over today will go a long way in boosting the morale of the police and further enhance their capacity to fight crime and combat criminality. I acknowledge the initiative taken to kickstart the rebuilding process through the establishment of the Lagos State Rebuild Trust Fund and through this very laudable effort by the Lagos State Security Trust Fund.
Next, he proceeds to commission the security assets of the Nigerian police force in Lagos. According to other speakers at the event, the newest additions to the National Security Working Tools will enable the relevant agencies galvanize their efforts at combating the security challenges the nation is currently faced with.
The president was not the only one engaged with issues of security today. Two former heads of state, Olusegun Obasanjo and Abdulsalami Abubakar, joined some other traditional and religious leaders for an exploratory meeting on pressing issues of national unity, security, peace, integration, and economic revitalization in the nation's capital. The meeting, which held behind closed doors in Abuja, also had in attendance the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar, the Oni of Ife, Adeyeye Ogunwusi, and Cardinal John Oneko, among other eminent personalities. Before the meeting, a statement signed by former President Olusegun Obasanjo says the attendees would, among other things, discuss national development, women and youth welfare, and the general progress of the country. At the end of the meeting, former President Obasanjo could not be cited for comment, while former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, declined to speak to journalists. The former Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogbe, and Cardinal John Oneko, who responded to questions by journalists, said the meeting was for the progress of the country. According to Chief Audu Ogbe, a communique on the outcome of the meeting will be issued soon.
Everything. We all discuss how to make the nation better. That should be enough for the moment.
Sir, can we know exactly what was the outcome of the meeting tonight?
There will be a communique issued formally, please. But it was a good meeting.
Not tonight. What was the crux of the discussion that took almost 9 hours?
The goodness of Nigeria.
So did you propose solution to the situation?
They will be released in the communique, believe me.
In part two, after the break, governors of the Northwest states see greater cooperation to defeat banditry, kidnapping and other crimes in the zone. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder about top stories. Busy day for the president as he inaugurates the Lagos-Ibadan rail line, Nemasa's Deep Blue project, and Lagos State security equipment insists his order to shoot persons with AK-47 rifles illegally remains. Search for a solution to the nation's challenges continues. Prominent Nigerians, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo and former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar, meet in Abuja for dialogue. Northwest governors seek greater cooperation in tackling insecurity in the zone. Governor El-Rufai blames continued banditry on lack of synergy among the governors. Nigeria's fertilizer market gets major boost as Dangote Industry rolls out urea products in commercial quantity tomorrow. And 350,000 people face famine in war-torn Tigray region and other neighboring areas in Ethiopia. UN describes the situation as a catastrophe. We continue with national security. The governor of Kaduna State, Aminu Masari, says the lingering security challenges facing the entire northwestern states can only be addressed if the governors of the region work together. Governor Masari made the comment at the inauguration of the Zamfara State House of Assembly complex to mark 2 years of Governor Bello Matawale's administration in office in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital.
It is very sad. Very, very sad. And very worrisome. People of the same culture, the same religion, the same tribe, wake up killing, maiming, abducting, kidnapping, raping each other. This is unheard of. So I call on all of us, the people of Kaduna, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, and parts of Kaduna and Niger, to come together, united, to confront this monster that is destroying our daily lives. Achievements have been made. Progress has been made. But certainly, the issue of insecurity, if not properly and timely checked, will undermine all the efforts made over 20 years ago.
Governor Matawale says the assembly complex will provide a conducive environment for legislators to carry out their duties effectively.
This project, Your Excellency, was undertaken in consideration for the eminent position of the legislature in a democratic setting for the House of Assembly to effectively perform its legislative and oversight function. It is vital that a conducive working environment is provided. Most of the structures have become outmoded. When I visited the Harlow Chamber shortly after my inauguration as a governor, I therefore concluded that the building needed to be modified and made more befitting and conducive in order for our honorable members to be able to operate effectively.
And to Kaduna State, where Governor Nasser El-Rufai seems to also share the same opinion as he blames the upsurge of insecurity in the northwest on the lack of synergy among the governors of the region. Governor El-Rufai says he is disappointed over the decision by some governors of the northwest to pull out of the joint security operation against bandits and cattle rustlers, noting that the lack of commitment emboldened the criminal element. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the Northwest Security Meeting of the State's Directors of the Department of State Services, DSS, in Kaduna State.
When we came into office, the major banditry challenge was cattle rustling. And the 7 states of Northwest, along with Niger, collaborated, contributed money, and funded operations on the ground and in the air. And that's how we were able to degrade cattle rustling completely. However, we thought that the operation should have been sustained. The plan given to us by the armed forces at the time and the police was for a 3-month operation. to not only degrade the cattle rustlers, but also go into the forest and take control of these ungoverned spaces. Unfortunately, after the initial success and some relief, some of the state governments refused to contribute money so that the second and third phase of the operation would continue. That's how some of these cattle rustlers now became kidnappers, and now it has become a major problem for the region and for the country. And it is a matter of deep regret that we did not sustain that operation. Only 2 or 3 states contributed their money. The other states felt they were safe. They don't know that insecurity tends to start in one place, but if not dealt with decisively, it will spread everywhere.
Still on security in Benin State, some survivors of the killings allegedly carried out by herders in Izi, a boundary town between Ebonyi and Benin State, have vowed to close ranks to defend their land against any attack. They have also been telling the story of how over 130 persons were killed in the attacks that lasted about 12 hours in 6 villages without security response.
The road leading to Izi community of Ekile Ward in Ado local government area of Benin State is hard, rough and unmotorable. At some point, the lawmaker representing the federal constituency and his team had to mount motorcycles to access the affected communities in Izi. The site of the carnage allegedly perpetrated by armed herdsmen is evident in the burning of commercial and residential buildings as well as business premises, with so many lives lost.
Maybe our neighbors.
An eyewitness narrates how the incident occurred, just as community leaders vow to protect their domain.
I went to Operation Ponda at Igmale, their camp. I went there. The commandant gave me about 21 soldiers. Reaching at one question there, they said they are not going to this place, that this place is a boy. I told them that here is not a boy, that here is Benin. They said no. And as at that time, they were still operating at Obakoto. So if they had followed me to that place, they would have met them at that place, because they operated on that Sunday till about 6 p.m. in the evening.
We can never allow herders to ruin us in this part of the state. They said once bitten, twice shy. The people they made are warriors, but they were taken on away.
From Ndiobasi to Ndigwe, the federal lawmaker and his team visits the victims and survivors to offer them support.
I call upon you that each time I invite you for a meeting, come, let us put heads together. Because when we are working together, we will be able to solve some teething problems.
Representative Francis Otagbo, under a motion of urgent public importance, calls for the establishment of police posts.
Gunmen believed to be Fulani mercenaries invaded Izi communities in Ekile and Ijuban wards in Ado local government of Benin State and butchered about 130 innocent Izi people. The House urged the federal government, precisely the Inspector General of Police, to establish police posts in all the border wards of Ado local government.
Although the House of Representatives observed a minute of silence to honor all those killed in states across the country, the need to upscale security deployment remains paramount.
May the souls of the departed rest in peace.
The United States has again condemned the suspension of Twitter by the federal government and is urging the country to reverse the decision. The U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said in a statement that freedom of expression and access to information, both online and offline, are foundational to prosperous and secure democratic societies. The United States adds that it is further concerned that the National Broadcasting Commission has ordered all television and radio broadcasters to cease using Twitter, noting that unduly restricting the ability of Nigerians to report, to gather and disseminate opinions and information has no place in a democracy. It says the path to a more secure Nigeria lies in more, not less, communication alongside concerted efforts towards unity, peace and prosperity. The plea is coming days after the federal government suspended the use of Twitter in the country after the microblogging site deleted President Buhari's tweet. The federal government had alleged double standards. When the news at 10 returns, the UNDP special program Reflections on Nigeria's Response to COVID-19 with support from Channels Television. We have more on that. Plus, Nigeria's natural gas reserves increased by 1.66% to 206 trillion cubic feet as at January the 1st, 2021. That's some business news. Do join us again. More efforts are needed to prevent a third wave of COVID-19 in Nigeria in the face of challenges still experienced in the health sector, a situation the UNDP says should be addressed with the help of developing partners. Those are the views of the Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Dr. Chikwe Hekwazu, and the resident representative of the UNDP in Nigeria, Mr. Mohamed Yahya, during a UNDP special program, Reflections on Nigeria's Response to COVID-19, with the support of Channels Television.
What are we doing is continuously speaking to people. You know, a third wave is not inevitable. It's up to us, really, to mitigate the impact of this and ensure as much as possible that it doesn't happen, which is why the Presidential Steering Committee made a very difficult decision a few weeks ago to limit travel from a few countries that were having a spike of infections, therefore trying to prevent the entry of these new variants into the country. But we still have to do our bit here. What are we doing? We're trying to encourage everyone that has access to the vaccines to take up those vaccines. We've done very well in doing that. But there are things that are in our hands. You know, from the beginning of this response, it's been clear to us that this is not a response that we, government, or even our partners can deal with on our own. We really needed the Nigerian people involved in the response, taking ownership, taking responsibility, which was the theme of a campaign that we've run throughout the response. And that's what we kind of continue to need Nigerians to do.
It's always good to also remember, politically in the global system, you had a move away from multilateralism, essentially something that is opposite to dealing with pandemics. So if you look at the political climate, it was a very difficult political climate. Combined with, if you come to Nigeria, you had a health system that was very limited in terms of investment overall. You had a social structures and economic structures that are heavily reliant on informality. People live very close to each other. African cultures are one where you live in extended families. And then you looked at the issue of the country's economy, heavily reliant on oil, which meant reliant on a global economic system. All that, from our perspective, was a perfect storm of a potential disaster in the country.
You can watch the full program, Reflections on Nigeria's Response to COVID-19, to be broadcast tomorrow, June the 11th, 2021, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., only on Channels Television. Let's head off to our Abuja studio, where Terry Kumi has some more stories. Terry.
Hello, Millicent. Nice to see you. The Interministerial Committee on the Disposal of the Federal Government Forfeited Assets has opened bidding to select auctioneers to dispose all forfeited assets. Chairman of the committee and Solicitor General of the Federation, Dayo Apata, informed the gathering that over 2,000 applications were received from the auction firms and that the committee has identified assets in 24 places across the country, besides violence-prone areas. He adds that the bidding process would be transparent and assets recovered from the alleged treasury looters would be sold at market value. The president had in November 2020 given the directive that a 22-member committee be set up with a mandate to dispose of all federal government's forfeited assets within 6 months. The interim administrator of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Effiong Akwa, has attributed the current stability in the commission to the cooperation and support of management and staff of the commission. Mr. Akwa made the statement when he received members of the Rivers State chapter of Nigerian Institute of Management at the corporate headquarters of the Niger Delta Development Commission in Port Harcourt.
It's a visit to the headquarters of the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC by the River State leadership of the Nigeria Institute of Management NIM in Port Harcourt. The leader of the state NIM delegation commends the interim administrator of the interventionist agency for providing stability for the NDDC since assumption of office.
We know that since you assumed this position as the MD of this commission, there have been very high-level stability in the system.
For the NDDC boss, who promises to partner with the NIM towards capacity development, urges the institute to broaden access in line with constitutionally guaranteed rights to the freedom of association, while commending them for their contribution.
The contributions of NIM have been massively noticed in Nigeria. In all the sectors of the Nigerian economy, managers have to be. In fact, where 2 or 3 people gather together in the name of enterprise or money making, there must be a manager. There must be a member of the Institute of Management. That places your institute at a very strategic point in the success story of Nigeria as we have it today.
It is expected that this visit by the management experts in the country to the NDDC will birth better days for the Commission's administration.
Children under 15 years who have done heroic feats have been advised to submit entries for their performance. This is from Dufil's Prima Foods PLC, the organizers of Indomie Independence Day Awards. Interested participants are encouraged to visit the company's website before the close of entries in September 2021.
I am Angela Webi, and this is my story.
Every year since 2008, Dufil Prima Foods PLC, makers of Indomie, has celebrated Nigerian children with exceptional qualities. With 12 editions under its belt, this initiative celebrates children for physical, social and intellectual bravery.
In the past, we've celebrated quite a number of Nigerians, mostly adults. In that particular space, the company realized that there was a need for us to be able to identify and seek and also celebrate children in this particular space. There was really no award category for them.
Entries are now open for the 2021 edition of the program.
Today marks the beginning of the quest, where we are going to start searching for these young heroes across the nation who bring a lot of pride to us and the nation with their different acts of bravery in different forms at such a young age. We at Dufil believe that in every child lies a seed of greatness.
The Lagos State government is pledging its support.
We have young people who are heroes, who are supporting community organizations, who are raising funds to create projects in their own communities, who are solving climate change and environmental problems. And so when you honor those people, you inspire more people to be able to do more. Many times we finance entertainment and music. It's fantastic. But it's also important to also finance social services, the social sector, development. And so that young people also know that you don't have to be a musician to be able to make a difference. You can actually, in your own community, be the solution to the problem that is affecting our society today.
Organizers underscore the importance of this event, which is now adding 2 new categories.
All the children that have participated and won these editions have been very unique in their own rights. But let me just take a few of them. For instance, the first person who won this edition was a boy named Khalil Bala, who had actually gone back into the house, got burned, and he actually went back into the fire to get the younger sister because the younger sister was trapped there. That's just one of them.
Entries have opened and will be on till September 2021 with a minimum prize of 1 million naira. Products that can last winners more than 1 year. They, however, add that the benefits go beyond the money.
And that's all from the nation's capital. Business News is next with Anne Waodo.
Thanks a lot, Terry. Hello and welcome to Business News. Urea fertilizer from the Dangote fertilizer plant is expected to hit the market from tomorrow, June the 11th, 2021, in commercial quantity, signaling an era of liberalization in the fertilizer market. The $2.5 billion plant, which boasts of a 3 million metric ton yearly production capacity of urea, is the biggest fertilizer project in the world. But recently, the chairman of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, says the urea production from the first phase of the project will help in shoring up foreign exchange for the country. Nigeria's proven natural gas reserves currently stands at 206.5 trillion cubic feet as of January the 1st this year, rising 1.66% year-on-year, and that's according to the Department of Petroleum Resources. Speaking at the 2021 Nigeria International Petroleum Summit today, the DPR's director, Mr. Sarki Awalu, says that the growth in gas reserves remain critical to achieving a decade of gas initiative of the federal government. Honeywell Pasta appears to be in agreement that great things come in small packages with the launch of the new Honeywell Spaghetti Mini. Speaking at the unveiling ceremony, the managing director, Larry Jayola, says the innovation, which is born out of extensive research on consumer behavior, aligns with the federal government's food security initiative.
The production lines of the Honeywell ultra-modern factory gets fully engaged, churning out variety of pastas, including the latest addition to the family, the Honeywell Spaghetti Mini. Meanwhile, in a separate room, top management and staff gathered to formally unveil the product, which the managing director says is born out of extensive research.
My joy is really the fact that this product came out of this factory in fulfillment of our determination to remain an innovation organization, in fulfillment of a determination to continue to support the food safety and food security agenda of government by producing good quality, nutritious, affordable food products for the complete satisfaction of Nigerian consumers.
Having observed consumers' behavior over time and market demands, the team sees the new Honeywell Spaghetti Mini as an answer to consumers' quest for convenience and affordability.
We have leveraged on that insight to give the consumers this product. Now, the good news, once again, is that the trade is extremely happy with this beautiful bride from our home. They're very happy. We've done the introductions. It's well received. We're currently selling in Lagos and cities in the southwest. So when you go out there, look out for the brand.
Now, what we are seeing here is an innovative product. This is only the beginning.
Time now to unveil the new Honeywell Spaghetti Mini.
Yeah, we are bringing it out. The sexy mini spaghetti. Wow.
It will go far and wide, and it will further expand the top line, and by the grace of God, the bottom line promises that we have made to our shareholders of continuous returns by way of value addition.
According to the management, now consumers can simply visit the market with just 100 naira, purchase the Honeywell Spaghetti Mini and enjoy this 200-gram pack of quality offerings from Honeywell.
The local equities market gained marginally today. Let's hear the details from Uvie Wikomo.
With 19 gainers against 15 losers, the domestic stock market extended the positive trend for a third consecutive session in the week as investors maintained interest on some high-value and mid-cap stocks on the NGX. The market's main index climbed further into the 39,000 points, which it regained at the close of the midweek trading session. But this time, it went up by a milder 0.10% margin, while the equities capitalization rose by more than 20 billion naira today. Let's take a closer look at the major drivers behind Thursday's positive close. Three Tier 1 lenders, Access, Zenith, and GT Bank, countered the drop in the share price of FBN Holdings and lifted the banking sector higher by more than 0.5%, while key components of consumer goods also added the support, which countered the loss from the industrial goods and insurance sector. However, total volume of shares traded for the day was lower by about 10% against Wednesday's turnover, as 158 million shares changed hands in more than 3,000 300 deals, with Zenith as the major contributor to the overall volume of transactions. It appears the good times are coming back again to the equities market, but with macroeconomic environment and investors' moods as factors to consider, analysts say they are maintaining caution on which side the indicators will close in Friday's session. That's all for the Stock Market Report. I'm Uvie Ikomo.
And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Anne. Today, the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, would have turned 100 years old. The Duke, however, died in April this year, and memories of his life of charity and dedication to duty lives on, like in the Duke of Edinburgh International Awards scheme. Prince Philip's son, Prince Edward, the Duke of Wessex, has been speaking with Channel Television's London correspondent Juliana Olainka in an exclusive interview about the importance of retaining his father's legacy of championing the potential of the awards scheme, which now launches the Founders 100 initiative with an ambition of raising £25 million to sustain Prince Philip's vision. The award is calling on educators, parents, community, business leaders, and ultimately young people from around the world to discover the potential impact of non-formal education.
The Duke of Edinburgh's passing provoked a huge sense of mourning across the world, including, of course, in Africa. How will the Duke of Edinburgh Award retain His Royal Highness's legacy and evolve with the changing dynamics of the world post-pandemic?
That's a very good question. I mean, luckily that the way that my father sort of set it up and the vision and the values and the ethos he instilled in the award from the beginning is very much as relevant today as it was in the past. And it was very much one that it should be open to all. That's above all the most important thing. So there's no discrimination in who can take part. But the other part of it is really about. I mean, he was a wonderful. I mean, he really enjoyed inspiring both young people and adults. And the award was a framework for them to be able to fulfill their goals and their dreams.
Over 30,000 young Nigerians have greatly benefited from the Duke of Edinburgh International Award scheme, known locally as the International Award for Young People Nigeria. You were fortunate enough to visit Nigeria before the global lockdown. Sir, can you please recall your experience, and were you impressed at the commitment and drive of these young participants?
I was indeed, yes. It was a very sort of happy perchance that we were able to do that. And you're right, it was one of the last trips I think I made before lockdown. So it was it was a wonderful opportunity to meet lots of young people in lots of different places, and also to try to. It was. What was really encouraging was not just the young people involved and the adults, but there was a real genuine interest from lots of sectors of society community who are really interested by what the award and what non-formal education could really do in Nigeria for so many more young people.
A new report by the UN says Ethiopia's northern region is experiencing famine, and according to the UN's humanitarian chief, it is going to get worse. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. US President Joe Biden has launched his first official overseas trip with a warning to Russia that it faces robust and meaningful consequences if it engages in harmful activities.
At every point along the way, we're going to make it clear that the United States is back and democracies of the world are standing together to tackle the toughest challenges and the issues that matter most to our future. That we're committed to leading with strength, defending our values.
Mr. Biden has started his 8-day tour, arriving in Cornwall in the UK, where, along with other leaders, he will attend the G7 summit. He'll then meet the Queen at Windsor Castle before joining Russian President Vladimir Putin in Geneva. Issues on the agenda will be arms control, Russian military involvement in Ukraine, and alleged cyber hacking. The number of undocumented migrants reaching the US-Mexico border has hit the highest level in more than 20 years. US Customs and Border Protection said it caught more than 180,000 migrants in May, the biggest monthly total since April 2000. The border agency said the average daily number of children in its custody had plummeted to 640. However, another 16,200 migrant children are being held by the US Health Department. Myanmar's military authorities have charged deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi with corruption, the most serious charge laid against her to date. Ms. Suu Kyi is accused of accepting cash and gold bribes and faces up to 15 years in jail if found guilty. She faces 6 other charges relating to alleged illegal imports of walkie-talkies and inciting public unrest. The former state councillor was arrested on February the 1st when the military seized power in a coup. At least 11 people, including 8 children, have been killed after a residential building collapsed in the western city of Mumbai. Rescue efforts are underway as more people are feared to be trapped in the debris in the Malad area. An investigation has been ordered, but a minister said heavy rains could have caused the collapse. Officials said they have evacuated other dilapidated buildings in the area. 2 Palestinian intelligence officers have been killed by Israeli special forces during a raid in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli forces, some undercover, entered Jenin overnight to arrest 2 Palestinians suspected of recent attacks. The Palestinian officers were shot dead after they witnessed the raid and reportedly opened fire at the Israelis. A Palestinian man identified as one of the suspects was also killed. A cemetery for migrants who have drowned in the Mediterranean while trying to reach Europe has been formally opened in Tunisia. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony in the southern Tunisian town of Zazes, the head of the UN's cultural agency UNESCO spoke of an unfolding tragedy. Many buried at the site, called the Garden of Africa, and have no name on their headstones. The Algerian artist who funded and designed the cemetery said he wanted to give those who were brought there a first taste of paradise. Algeria has set up mobile COVID-19 vaccination centres in several districts around the capital as part of a national campaign to speed up its vaccination drive. People have flocked to walk-in vaccination tents to receive their first or second dose, with one location in the Kitani Square neighbourhood attracting 200 people on the first day of the campaign. Algeria has administered at least 2.5 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines so far. The world's largest meat processing company has paid the equivalent of $11 million in ransom to put an end to a major cyber attack. Computer networks at JBS were hacked last week, temporarily shutting down some operations in Australia, Canada and the US. The payment was reportedly made using Bitcoin after plants had come back online. And finally, a Turkish jeweller has a peculiar alarm system as his cash register, which is guarded by a squirrel. The animal, called Memecan, does not let anyone but the jeweller near the cash register, as he immediately steps in and attacks when a stranger attempts to take the money and gold from it. When he is not guarding the cash register, Memecan loves to dash about the display counter and stroll around when customers come in to shop. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Host Cameroon has beaten Nigeria 31-19 in the second game of the African Women Handball Nations Cup played today. Nigeria started the match with determination, but then failed to sustain the momentum as the Cameroonians outscored them to win the game in the end. And that's sports news.
Thank you, Ayotunde. And the main news again. It was a busy day for the president today as he inaugurated the Lagos-Ibadan rail line, NEMAS's Deep Blue project, and the Lagos State security equipment. Also, the Earl of Wessex, Prince Edward, today spoke in an exclusive interview with Channels Television's London correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, about retaining the legacy of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, who would have been 100 years old today. This is 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night. Stay safe.